Hey, what is up guys? Epic Pokemon TCG here, and today guys I have another deck profile for you. And we're going to be taking a look at one of my favorite decks going into the new format. As of right now, Steam Siege is the latest set, so if you're seeing this in the future, that's why some of these cards might be either irrelevant or just something random, because I don't know what's coming out in the future. But this is going to be Vespiquen Zoroark. I did get some assistance with this deck. This isn't fully my list. This is just kind of like an idea that I had, and I was kind of surfing the web. And I picked off a skeleton list, and it turns out that I really like this deck, so I figured I would just share this list with you guys. The list I'm going to be using in an upcoming tournament is going to actually be a little different, just some personal changes of mine. But we're going to go ahead and get into it here, guys. List is in the description below, by the way. This is actually just like the strongest list that I saw, so I figured I would share it with you guys because I think this is a really solid starting list. I feel like this is actually a list that you can kind of just play in a tournament too. But starting off here, guys, we have 4/4 Vespiquen. Whoops, I just caught my sleeve there. Hope that didn't mess it up. But we have a 4/4 Vespiquen. Vespiquen is a card that I really thought was going to kind of fall off after the rotation because of the fact that Battle Compressor was leaving the format. And really, Battle Compressor for a lot of decks like this was like the main engine to get the deck going. But it's pretty awesome looking at it now because like there's so many ways that you can kind of use Vespiquen now with having it as like a backup attacker in certain decks, or just having it like as kind of a main attacker like we're doing in this deck. But basically, you're probably never really going to use Intelligence Gathering. I mean, if the situation comes up, use it, but most of the time you're going to be using Be Revenge, or you're going to be attacking with Zoroark. But Be Revenge 20, and then you do 10 more for each Pokemon in your discard pile. This can be a very strong card, especially with how this deck's set up, just because you're like, if you're able to get a bunch of Pokemon in the discard, then really this card's good against everything, because honestly you are just wrecking stuff sometimes. It's insane how much damage I was able to put out with this card the other day when I was playing it. I played this deck against a bunch of different stuff, and so yeah, this list was just very awesome, and I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna do a video over this list. But Be Revenge, and just Vespiquen in general, it's very good against so many cards because of the fact it just dishes out a high amount of damage. And if you're worried about Glaceon EX and Giratina EX, don't worry, I got you guys covered, and I'm going to give you some suggestions for the deck if you want to pick it up and play it. But we got that 4/4 out of the way, so there is that. Next up, we're going to take a look at the secondary attacker for this deck, and sometimes your main in most matchups. And probably the Pokemon you're going to lead off with, which is going to be a 3-2-1 Zoroark. Now, before we get into talking about this one, the reason why the break's in here is just because it's an extra Pokemon to put into the discard pile, and that's really it. Plus, it gives extra HP, so that's cool too. And on top of that, if you have a Klefki attached to a Zoroark, and you have a Zoroark break on it for some reason, it goes down or something, that's 4 Pokemon going into your discard piles. That is pretty awesome. So that's why that's in there. We don't really need to go over it too much. You can run a couple Dark Energy if you really want to, just to use that foul play. But that is up to you. Now, next up, stand-in on Zoroark. Basically, it's the same as Russian, excuse me, for Keldeo EX. If it's on your bench, you can make it your active Pokemon. This is very good against multiple things, just because if you have something kind of stuck up there like a Shaymin, or you have an Unown, or you have a Klefki start or something, you can just use stand-in. And on top of that, Mind Jack's a very strong and solid attack. 10, and then you do 30 for each Pokemon on your opponent's bench. And most of the time, your opponent's going to have about 3 to 5, so you're going to be doing a ton of damage. And most of those Mega decks, they load up their bench sometimes. And really with this deck, this is kind of built towards dealing with Mega Evolution Pokemon, but it's just good against so many other things. So, you got the 4/4 Vespiquen, you got the 3-2-1 Zoroark. You don't really need to go over it too much, just to, because
Today, Junior?
I mean, they do a lot of damage, and that's pretty much all you need them to do. Zoroark, obviously good against Rayquaza, and that's really about it. I mean, you're doing a bunch of damage to him. I mean, that's all you really need to go over. We have 4 Shaymin. This one's totally real. But we have 4 Shaymin. This is just in here, of course, for Vespiquen. On top of that setup, it's just a really solid, consistent ability, just allow you to go through your deck. I would suggest not playing down too many of these, just because of Lysandre. You're attacking with stage 1 Pokemon, and so honestly you don't want to have that hindrance of them getting a cheap, easy 2 prizes off of you. Personally, I would suggest probably trying to throw it Twang. It's gotten to that point, guys. It's been a long morning. But I would suggest trying to put in maybe like a couple Parallel City just to try to get rid of the Shaymins or something like that, or figuring out a way to get rid of these, because honestly when they're on your bench, you get the effect off of them, that's cool and everything, but whenever your Pokemon are going down pretty quickly because they have fragile HPs, your opponent's like, oh hey, I took out a couple of their attackers, now I can start picking off Shaymin, and really it just takes one Lysandre to a Shaymin knockout to get them right back in the game. So as much as Shaymin is good, it's definitely a hindrance, but the reason why you're playing 4 in this deck is just because it helps fuel Vespiquen, because you can discard them. So that's why that's in there. Now we're going to talk about the 2 Pokemon that really help out Vespiquen in this deck the most, and on top of that, Zoroark, because of this one. First, we're going to talk about Unown. Ever since Unown came out, it has been an obvious partner to Vespiquen. It's been a really good card to pair up with it, just because you get so many benefits off of it, and really there's no con to it except for starting with it. Because when you think about it, like unless you have a loaded up bench, it's never a dead card. You're basically playing 56 cards when you think about it. You put like different scenarios up. Farewell Letter, what it does, whenever it's on your bench, you can use the ability, discard Unown, and you draw an extra card. So basically, that means not only are you fueling your Vespiquen, you're also just getting an extra card, which is really good. It's a really consistent trade-off, and I've actually hit a lot of stuff because I had Farewell Letter along with just some extra cards. If you get like a big Shaymin for like 5 or something like that, and you draw a couple Unown, that's just more cards. But the big bad boy Papa here, we got Klefki with Wonderlock. This is a very cheap card, by the way. If you're worrying about like, oh man, I don't have any new cards or nothing, I got 4 of these for $1. So yeah, pretty cheap. So basically, Wonderlock, what it does, if Klefki's on your bench, you can discard all things attached to it and attach it as a tool to your active Pokemon. I think it's your active. Let me verify that. To one of your Pokemon. So it doesn't have to be your active, excuse me. So you can attach to one of your Pokemon, and then basically for the rest of the until your opponent's like the end of their next turn, Mega Evolution Pokemon just can't attack it. And that's very good, because when you think about it, there's like 4 Juggernauts going into next format, and that being Sceptile, Mewtwo, Rayquaza, and Scizor. Yeah, that's right, Scizor. So those are the 4 decks that I keep seeing everyone talk about, and everyone kind of mentioning and going over. And when they're talking about the meta and the new format, Klefki is just a really good way to get around that, because honestly, when you think about it, they have to Lysandre around it, and then your Pokemon's just kind of sitting there going, hey, I'm dishing out a ton of damage, I'm not going to living crap out of you, so bring it. Another thing that really good against Sceptile that I forgot to mention with Zoroark BREAK is they can't one-shot you, they have to two-shot you, if that ever comes up. But basically, Klefki also, on top of that, protecting you from Mega Pokemon. It's also fueling Vespiquen, because at the end of their turn, it goes to the discard pile. And that's just really, really good, because you're getting so many benefits off of this one card. And yeah, it sucks starting with it. It absolutely sucks starting with it. I've had that issue before. The reason why it's such a high number is because you hit for like maximum damage with Vespiquen, and that's 4 cards your opponent has to deal with whenever playing Mega Evolution Pokemon. So all around, just a really, really good card. Definitely one of my favorites for this deck. Whoa, crap. Because it really does set back your opponent, and if you're able to consistently time them right, then you're good. But next up, guys, we're going to be going into the supporters here. And I do apologize if I have been stuttering, or if I do stutter throughout this video. I have a very bad problem with that. It's something I've always had. But next up, for Sycamore, pretty obvious here. This is just like the best draw supporter in the game. And on top of that, guys, you can discard Pokemon from your hand just to kind of feel that Vespiquen. 2 in, it's just a good card. And if they're kicking the living crap out of you, you can end them to 1 and go from there. 2 Lysandres, this is really good because you can kind of Lysandre around stuff like Giratina, and you can Lysandre around Glaceon EX, and you can kind of pull up that Garbodor. If you're going against Mega Mewtwo Garbodor, this is going to be your best friend, because you can pull up that Garbodor and you can start activating your Wonderlock again. Or if you couldn't one-shot something, you can pull it off the bench and take it out, and they're really good against these two, because this deck can easily knock these out. So that's something else to note. But this is going to be the most important supporter that you absolutely have in so many matchups, because Giratina, it attacks once. You can't attach energy at all with this deck, because you play 4 DCE. That's been something that's been very common since like the Night March days, until like New came out. But even then, like most of the decks were just playing like 4 DCE period. But basically, Pokemon Ranger is going to help you get around Glaceon and Giratina. Those are like the two main cards that you really have to worry about because you just can't do anything. I mean, with Giratina, you can't attach your energy. Glaceon, you just can't attack them. So pretty much these two cards are going to be your way to deal with them. Pokemon Ranger being, you know, the main one because you Pokemon Ranger, you can still attack the Glaceon, you can still attack the Giratina. So I've thought about playing 2 in here just because of how much I worry about Giratina. Because it's actually popular where I'm at, so it's one of the reasons why. But to go along with the supporter guys, as always, for VS Seeker. I love VS Seeker. Alright, so also we have 4 Acro Bike. Acro Bike's just really good because it helps you go through your deck, and on top of that, you might hit a useless Pokemon you might not need. Let's say you don't need Klefki really in a matchup, and you hit like a card, you know, like just a usable card in Klefki. You can discard Klefki and just go from there. We have 4 Ultra Ball. This helps you discard stuff, Pokemon, useless cards, and lets you search for a Pokemon. Pretty good there. And we have 2 Floatstone. Just kind of helps you use stand-in freely and just kind of go wherever you want to. You can also throw it on a Shaymin. You can throw it on a Unown or a Klefki if you might not, or if you might need it. I've had the problem of starting with Klefki, or I've started with Unown. It's bound to happen. And that just helps out. Which is another reason why Zoroark is just so good. 2 Trainer's Mail just kind of helps you search out stuff. You can probably hit like a big potential card off the top 4 cards of your deck. And just one of my favorites. 2 Special Charge. You never know when you might have a weird incident where you have to discard some of your DCEs. But basically this means you can just kind of shuffle in your DCE more. And with 2, you have that guarantee. Because sometimes you might only get to shuffle in 1. And so that means you get 5, and this kind of just makes it 6. Or there's a lot of situations where Special Charge just comes in. Something really funny that I had happen like a couple times the other day was I started 2 DCE, Ultra Ball, Special Charge, and a Sycamore. So I was just like, you know what, screw it, man. I was like, I'm going to get a free Ultra Ball. About the Sycamore anyway. It was my only play, and I didn't feel like trying to grab a Shaymin. So, yeah. Yeah, Special Charge, very good card. Just shuffle 2 Special Energy back into your deck, which is the only thing you have. So, yeah, Special Charge is very good. It's a very cheap card, by the way. Most of this deck is cheap, except for the Shaymins. Next up, 2 Revitalizer. This helps you just shuffle or get your Vespiquen line back. And on top of that, you can get a free Ultra Ball with it. And to go along with the Revitalizer, something I forgot to mention was Forest of Giant Plants. If you don't have the resources to search out a Vespiquen, you can play Revitalizer and just get it right back. And I have a headache. Good God, I'm glad this video's almost over. I have a headache. God, it's been a long day. But to round out the deck, guys, we have 4 DCE, and that is going to do it. The deck is very simple. Just use Klefki in the matchups against Mega Evolution Pokemon. Hit for a ton of damage, and use Pokemon Ranger for Giratina and Glaceon. And honestly, the deck's very easy to play. I'll give it that. It's a very easy deck to play, and you don't really need much to get it going. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like it, subscribe for some more content, and I will try to see if I can have another deck for out, or try to see if I have another deck for you soon, because I can't speak. Alright, yeah, I'm going to go because I'm tired and good God. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. This is Epic Pokemon TCG signing out. Take care, guys.